order to wake up from the over-controller, we have to intentionally recognize, oh, that's the over-controller in action. In other words, we can't wake up from a part of our persona, our ego, that we're not aware of. And I often talk about, that circle of awareness. Again, this is Joseph Campbell. He describes the line that goes through. Anything below the line is what's out of consciousness. Well, if we're moving through the day and we're always trying to manage things, we're trying to control other people to get them to cooperate, or we're trying to judge and manage ourselves, if the controller's in action and we don't recognize, oh, that's the over-controller's in action, then we're identified with it. We're identified with anything we're not aware of that's below the line. But once we can begin to see it, it comes above the line, and then we have choice. So the trick is, when you run into the over-controller, how are you relating to it? And if you judge the over-controller, you're just bringing more controlling to your life. It's another kind of the over-controller coming around again. So the trick is to relate to the over-controller, not from the over-controller. In other words, relate to it from a larger space of compassion and presence. Now I'm going to come back to that again, because even as you were listening already thus far, I suspect for many of you, you were thinking, oh God, this is a bad part of me, and I've got to work on it. It's kind of that sinking feeling of, oh, I'm a controlling person, I know that. More than most people here probably, So if we're going around feeling like I'm a control freak and it's really ugly and bad, or, this is a pathology or whatever, and even the words I'm using, over-controller, makes it sound like it's bad, I want to see if we can step out of that, because that's another controlling reaction, and get this, that it's universal. We are designed through evolution to have an ego that's going to try to control itself and its environment for its furtherance. Okay? That's universal, every one of us. And the more fear, the more wounding we've experienced in a lifetime or genetically or whatever, the more activated that controller is going to be. It's not our fault. If you have a well-developed over-controller, it's just the result of past conditioning. And if you can behold it, witness it with kindness, then you can loosen the identity. So let's take a pause here again. Just invite you to close your eyes for a moment. And sense, even thus far, how you're detecting, oh, okay, there's some conditioning here towards controlling that plays in my life that actually can cause suffering. There's that conditioning to try to manage. And that this is a universal part of my humanity. That the people sitting on either side of me also have this conditioning to control. And right here from the start of this exploration, sense your aspiration to relate to the over-controller with kindness, with patience, with humor, with appreciation. It's trying to help you. It's just not doing it in the most strategically wise way. To relate to the over-controller, not from, makes it possible eventually. If you imagine that over-controller like Sisyphus rolling the boulder, just really pushing, trying hard, Imagine Sisyphus just deciding to let the boulder go. And just imagine the space that opens up, the possibilities of enjoying the view. Maybe going home and dipping in a stream and showering off and all that sweat and just relaxing, enjoying the life that's here. We don't have to keep pushing so much. That's what's possible when we begin to witness the over-controller without judgment, with just kindness.